meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing after that for the pledge of allegiance that will be led by Alderman Payne.
Heavenly Father, we stand before you once again to ask you for your grace and mercy, Lord, and your blessings and wisdom, Lord, to be given to us. Lord, I want to pray a special prayer for Scott Ferguson, Lord, who lost his son yesterday, Lord. I just pray that you would send your Holy Spirit down to comfort him during this time of trouble. As always, Lord, we thank you for all the many blessings that you give us, even though we don't deserve them. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes for the July 21st, 2020 public meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting, July 21st, 2020, with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the swearing in of our new planning commissioner for Ward 3, Mr. Ben Moore. Mr. Ben Moore with us. You'll come forward to the podium.
You're not talking, lady. Okay. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you stepping up to serve, and you're being appointed by Alderman Payne, right? So we have the Bible there. If you'll put your hand on the Bible and raise your right. Yeah, there. All right, and then just repeat after me. I, Ben Moore,
I, Ben Moore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support the laws, faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and obey the laws thereof,
and obey the laws thereof,
that I am not disqualified
that I am not disqualified
from holding the office
from holding the office
of Planning Commissioner Ward 3,
of Planning Commissioner of Ward 3,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office upon which I'm about to enter.
of the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So,
Congratulations and thank you. Fist pump. I'll sign that. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is a resolution for adoption of our city comprehensive plan. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. You will remember we had some discussions at this level about the comprehensive plan, which is our 20-year plan for the future as a guidance tool. We base where our future development, where our future growth is going to be, what's going to go where from a future zoning standpoint, transportation plans, goals and objectives, and community facilities. It was presented by Chris Watson, who was our expert we hired. He submitted a document to both this board and to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission discussed it at the July 27th hearing last week. It was approved there. There is a change that we got yesterday. And all it is updating the economic data to add in our 2019 numbers. Because at that time that we presented it, we had the 2017 numbers. Chris Wilson helped us get the more accurate data for the 2019 numbers. So there are some adjustments to that portion. Everything else is to remain the same, but it was voted unanimously in favor of by the Planning Commission.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? I'll just add, again, just reminding everyone that this is something that has to be done every 20 years. And it's something that we had the chance this time to incorporate, what was in the plan with what our current goals are for the board and myself. And so we feel like we got a good plan that will be, effective for a lot of years in the future for this city. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for what we call the Big Box Ordinance.
Again, just a quick summary of what we discussed last time we were in the process of writing this ordinance. One of the things we try to look for from a planning aspect is trends we see with development. Obviously, right now, one of the trends nationwide is the vacancy of large boxes in commercial retail districts. This ordinance right here protects us from creating more supply than we have of demand. It puts more control with us so that when any of the larger boxes over 25,000 square feet come in requesting to go into a certain area, it goes through a conditional use permit, through the planning commission, and through this board. We will look at the surplus that we have available within the city, see if there's a place that they can occupy that's similar to their needs, so we can determine if it's best to put another box out there. What we don't want to do is create a blighted area of commercial or vacant areas. So this is a protective measure that we're asking to put in place. And I'll be welcome to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Big boxes.
Right now, we have two main ones, two kind of on the fence. We're here in May, vacate. We've got Books and Millions. That's one of our larger ones. We were really lucky to have Urban Air come in where the old Ajax break was. We've been monitoring the JCPenney's to see if we were going to be one of the closures. We didn't make it through there, so that was good. But like I said, we have the Walmart up here that we're still looking to sell and occupy. But what we don't want to do is shift from our older areas to newer areas and just relocate, so that leaves the big boxes there. So 25,000 and up, really, it doesn't make a Walgreens or a CVS or something of that size. It doesn't require them to come in front of us. If something any larger than that, yes, it will require them to come to us. And we can also determine not only is that size needed, are there any surplus of that size, we can determine if the use coming in is something we have all over the city that we may or may not need any more of. So it just gives us a little bit more of a control factor.
It is important to note too that obviously with the COVID crisis, it's had an effect on every city in America, or I guess around the world, as far as sales tax revenue. So I don't believe that anybody in Southaven was put out of business due to COVID, but for those who already may have been having some challenges, COVID certainly was not helpful in that regard. So there's no doubt that we've had some that have gone out of business, but it's important to note that this is not a doomsday thing. Everybody, it's a common thing where people say that big box retail is a dinosaur now with internet sales, and that's not true. There's still a lot of retail operations that are doing very well, and even taking out the internet sales tax that just got approved by our state legislature a couple of years ago, going with your traditional sales tax revenue in the city of Southaven. Obviously, COVID, we're still waiting on the final results for this year. But every year for the last 7 years, our sales tax revenue has gone up. So it's not a situation where it's doomsday. We're going to be loaded with a bunch of empty buildings. There are some people in our city that kind of prescribe to that theory, and I'm here to point out that is not true. But there is no secret that COVID has had an impact on retail, and that as we move forward, there are some businesses that are going to adjust, how they do business. They're going to become smaller with their physical space. But still, I think it's a wise move on the city's part, to be proactive and go ahead and address that, just like Whitney said, because we want to minimize there being, an appearance of blight or vacancy in our city. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution amending. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, no problem. We'll back up. So item 6 on the agenda, when we approved our comp plan, that's our city attorney on the phone. We want to make sure that we do this exactly the correct way. So the proper way to do it, when you approve a comprehensive plan, it is appropriate that you allow anyone in the audience who would like to speak about the plan. So I'm going to back up on item 6 and open up and welcome anyone in the audience that would like to speak about the city's comprehensive plan. If you do, please stand at this time. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the city's comprehensive plan? Okay, I hear nor see any, so we'll move back to where we are on item 8. And item 8 is a resolution amending city ordinance, Title 13, Chapter 12, Section 13 through 12M. Whitney, will you explain that to us?
Sure. This actually follows suit with the Big Box Ordinance that we just passed. In that ordinance, you've got different categories, the Big Box category A, B, and C, which differentiates between square footages. It puts a minimum and maximum on it. And we had to alter the use chart that's already in place in the ordinance, which is 1312M, and add these uses and the requirement of conditional use into that use chart. So it's a separate resolution, but it is directly related to the Big Box Ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for final tax exemption for KTG USA Incorporated. We got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for grinder pump station for utilities department. Second. We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a bid award recommendation for the automated meter readers, converting our current system to that. This is a project, as all of you know, that's been discussed by the city for many, many years. I think it's over 10 years, longer than that probably. So it's a big deal that we're finally here. You know, since I've been mayor, I know for probably 5 years we've been working on this. And the purpose of this, basically, and Dan's going to tell you the details, but just basically what this is in the past, we had physical people that would go to each meter at every residence or business in the city, and they would read the meter, and then they would report that back. So it almost sounds kind of funny if you think about it in 2020. So now with this new program, you'll have an automated meter reader that requires no human being going to any residence except for occasional, service. Then it will feed that data back electronically to a desk of someone in the water department, so they don't have to go anywhere. That data comes straight to them. So it's an incredible project. What's taken so long is that with a lot of these manufacturers, there have been some glitches in the system. So Ray Humphrey and Dan and our city has been a little bit leery about jumping ahead. We want to be careful, make sure that all glitches are worked out, that it works with our Venus system. And so it took some time to make sure we're ready for that. So I know they're tired of hearing from me. I've asked them many, many times for about the last 3 years, when's it going to happen? I know in our committee meeting, I think Alderman Gallagher led the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting. We talked about this for years and how we pay for it, this and that. So I'm proud to tell you that today's the day. We're here. We got a bid. It is a lot of money. And then with that, what I've sent all of you by email is a breakdown of what the net situation will be for the city. Like, how much in cost it will cut, how much in improved water revenue it's going to generate. So the net difference is estimated $543,000 a year. So it's a big deal for us to do this. So as far as the details of how we implement that, and I've got Chris Wilson here to also tell you our recommended way of how we pay for this. We do have a surplus in the utilities. We have this money in utilities, but it's not wise for us to use the cash. It's best for us to hold the cash because you can get a revenue bond or the debt service on the revenue bond. Basically, the savings that we have by implementing the system pays the debt itself, and the interest rates are low, about 2%. So it's a smart thing to do to use a debt instrument instead of cash, to implement this. So with that being said, Dan's here. He'll be able to tell you about the bid and the numbers and exactly what that is. And if you'll go ahead with that, Dan, I appreciate that.
The board, as he said, we took the bid. We had 6 bidders. All of them were very competitive. I'm here tonight to request y'all's approval and authorization to award this project to Federal Valve Inc. in the amount of $7,855,035 within the city, and authorization from the mayor to sign the related contract documents. Battery life is the dictator anywhere from 10 to 20 years, but currently, grade system, they're changing out meters almost constantly anyway due to just the life of the meters within their accuracy. These are a little better than that, but there will still be some exchanges.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. We can continue discussion.
I will say, we did skip our technology when we first started in this world with infrastructure. I think we was there. We talked about fixed base, drive-by reads. This is also the reason we made that change. It was kind of late in the process, but bottom line, like most technology, we're getting to the point where we're not going. The technology is moving away from that, so they're going to push everything to us. Kind of, I won't say front end, but we're going to be something current end with that technology.
That was going to be my next question. I'm assuming at the database station, we'll be able to dictate or know whenever one's offline or whenever one's online. Is there also software that includes that if a bill starts getting outlandish?
You'll know, you're getting 15-minute reads every day.
Will the software let us know when one starts getting out of hand? Or more than what it normally is?
Yes, you can set that up, and I will say it also will allow you in the future, it's not something we're planning to do right now, we're only trying to work it, but it does also allow for customer interaction, set up website, They can look at their own trends, the interaction with their own meters, so you can point them into the direction of here, you ought to have a leak at night or that kind of thing. So it's a lot more interactive. Now, we're not, it's still there, we're not pushing that out to them yet, to be working for us, but it is that. And they do have representatives here, much more technical than that.
That actually answers my question.
How long will these things last?
Like I said, they're supposed to last 10 to 20 years, depending on battery. You know, every battery operates a little different depending on how active it is. But the system network itself has over lifespan of that. The meters are what wear. So, but every year, included in this budget, in this bid, is next year's budget of new meters. So usually that comes out of a regular budget because he generates anywhere from 500 to 600 new meters a year. That's in here, so you'll be getting them through the project. And so the continuation of replacements will lag for several years, but everything will be new. But you'll get back into the point where you're replacing a certain number of meters every year. But the technology and the backbone behind it all stay good.
So also help our citizens, if they've got a leak that they're not aware of, they can do some preventive things.
One of the benefits is reducing or almost eliminating rereads, where Joel doesn't agree with his bill, and you call, or your wife does, and she calls and says, I don't agree with my bill. We go out and check, come back. This, you better see everything online. You'll know during the day where your water usage is, and it'll eliminate a lot of reaching.
And again, use this.
Any other discussion about the automated meter readers? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion carries.
Again.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a resolution for ratification of emergency repair for the Mill Road well.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution granting authority to claim private property as presented on the statement.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that we're to speak? Hearing or seeing none, roll call please.
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook again.
We have two applications on our planning agenda tonight. The first one is the design review application for the Panatonium development going on airways in the Plum Point community. Obviously, removal will be the tenant. 60,000 square foot office building. We have been working with them prior to the planning commission, after the planning commission. Some adjustments that we were asking them to make was the color palette and to add more of a window line across there to give it more of that metro district look that we're working on for the whole area. There were some adjustments to the gated accesses, to the landscaping, all the way down to the lumens on the photometric plans to make sure it's a warmer light. So far, we've been working well. We're not finalized on the building elevation. We're still working on that. We're asking for just a little leniency from this board on that portion. On our notes that were approved at Planning Commission, we wanted to make sure that all the roof mounted equipment, HVAC equipment, anything that was on the roof was going to not only be blocked from eye level in the parking lot of the site, but also from 55. That's an important driving corridor for us. We wanted to make sure the HVAC systems weren't being shown and things like that. Again, like I mentioned, the color palette, at first they had it as a green and a tan hue. We brought them to the grayscale, which is more conducive to the metro district. Like I said, we are working on increasing the window lines to give it more of that office feel. Are there any more pictures in there?
Any more pictures in there? Got any more pictures?
Okay, there should be some other elevations in there. There we go. One of the other concerns we have is the south elevation, which is going to be facing down towards Tanger, but it was mainly just a long wall. We wanted them to break that up a little bit more to kind of give it, like I said, more of an office feel. So they're working on that now. We had some landscaping comments where we wanted to add a streetscape along the frontage. One thing they did do for us was they did a lot of preservation of the existing trees, which was really important for us. So they've incorporated a lot of those into the landscaping. There's a very diverse landscaping design they put together on that. The only comments we had they're adjusting right now is to put that 20-foot streetscape along the frontage. Again, our standard lumen for lighting is 3,000. It gives a warmer light instead of that blue light, so we're asking them to bring it down to that. Obviously, they're complying with that. Decorative lighting along the streetscape has also been requested to come into play. They're also abiding by that. So, like I said, everything's near compliance. Like I said, we're finalizing just adding the windows and breaking up that south boundary on the south line of the building. I did hear from the group that's designing it today that we had them remove the fencing on the south side because it wasn't a perimeter fence. It didn't enclose the site. They're asking to put that back on. We don't have a problem with that, so we're just asking to add that back in against what our staff report says. And additionally, we had discussions with them about security access gates, and they were going to use the sirens and the lights as a notification to open and close. It's a 24-hour operation with cameras, so they felt that would be sufficient. After the discussions, they decided they liked our Knox box idea a little better, so that is something that's much more preferred by our fire department, police department, and all that. So otherwise, we're recommending approval with the additions on the elevation of the buildings that we discussed. Everything else is compliant. Well, you have the M-dot fence on the west side, and then there's an existing northern fence against the apartment complex, which is a vinyl coated chain link. What they want to do is just carry a fence to the south side, just to kind of match up with the north side. Front will be open, so it won't encompass it, but it will at least show the definitive borders on the north, south, and west. So it's not anything that we would say yes or no to specifically, but we kind of thought it was an added thing that wasn't needed. They've asked to put it back in, and we don't have a problem with that.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve item 1 on the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion on item 1 by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
That motion carries.
Our second item is a Scrivener's error that occurred in Central Park, Section P. The road that is going north and south on this plat that's already been recorded is known as Emmeline Drive, which is part of their master plan. However, there's a curve up there at the very top, and it goes from Central Trails to Emmeline, but the GIS database and the houses that are in that curve actually had a Park Valley address. So we had two options. We could either take Emmeline and turn it to Park Valley because there's no houses on it, there's no home, no foul, there's no deeds or anything that needs to be transferred out. Or we could require those people to change their addressing, and they already live there and have established street names. And we thought, it would be a little easier on everybody to actually do the street name change to remove Emmeline and make that Park Valley. So we're requesting that change, and with your permission from that, we will go down and correct it at the Chief's Clerk's office.
May I make a motion we accept item 2?
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on our agenda is our mayor's report. First, Andrea, on item 6, excuse me, on item 10, we did vote. Would you verify that we did vote on that? A roll call? Okay. All right, and on mayor's report, just a few things tonight. First of all, the latest project, our artificial turf project to replace the infields and foul lines at Snowden Grove Park and Greenbrook Park. Just want to update the board that started yesterday. So we have construction equipment out there. They are moving on. This is not their first time to do this. They've done it, professional stadiums and college stadiums. So they are moving forward with that. Time is an issue as we want to try to get all the fields, all 25 done before the first tournament in March of 2021. But anyway, just to update you that is underway. The second thing I just want to talk just a minute about, Governor Reeves did mention today in his COVID update that there will be some counties that school reopenings would be delayed. So happy to hear that DeSoto County was not one of those. And just to give everybody some facts, I know that this issue has turned into a very political issue, so I don't really want to get into all the details of that, other than I do believe it's important for Americans to talk facts and to continue to put facts out there, because we have so much information that's not accurate that's in our world. And in a time like this, we need people that have hope. We don't need people to live in fear. The virus is obviously extremely serious. There seems to be a flow chart in some people's minds where if you start talking about the dangers of closing schools and closing the economy, in some people's mind they go right to you value money over life. And so I want to make that point again, that no, that's not what it means. We understand that the virus is extremely dangerous, but you have to weigh all risks in our society. Schools should be open, businesses should be open, we should be smart, we should wear masks if we're within 6 feet of people, we should use social distancing, we should use hygiene steps, we should try to protect our most vulnerable. But the point of the statement tonight is to remind everybody that there is hope. Let's keep this in its proper perspective. The real numbers today in the state of Mississippi, 99.94% of people have survived COVID-19. In DeSoto County, 99.994 have survived COVID-19 as of August 4, 2020. So I just want to keep putting the facts out there. I feel like it's my job as a leader of this city to keep putting the facts out there in the midst of all the misinformation that continues to flourish. That's all that I have really specifically on that. Let me scan my notes really quickly here. I believe that's it. We'll move on. That's the end of the mayor's report. Anybody got any questions for me? Okay, we'll move on to citizens' agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on the citizens' agenda? Yes, sir. How are you, Terry?
I'm short ones, on 2 pages. Good evening. Even though my hearing is scheduled for next week, I just wanted to apologize for any problems our application has caused. I hope the application itself is thorough, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions whenever you have my contact. It was my wish to attend last month's City Planning Commission hearing. I believe Ms. Whitney Cook and the Planning Department had our best interest in mind in offering the comprehensive plan. All I ask is if you could keep in mind the goals of the comprehensive plan for the West End District, in which most commercial buildings were erected during the City of Southaven's infancy, and therefore under a different set of codes. Please consider the financial resources it will require to bring up current code. When I read the comprehensive plan, it spoke to me and gave me hope that my business would be open, bringing in new faces and sparking life back into Southaven's oldest commercial district. We have plans to convert our small and humble building into an arcade that fulfills and promotes the goals and values set in the comprehensive plan. We wish to help solve a complex puzzle, that is, how to transform the old into new. where people will flock to the area and keep money in the city of Southaven. The comprehensive plan calls for the redevelopment of the property. For instance, what could you do with a draft loading dock? Well, why not build a massive 30-foot by 40-foot wooden patio lined with artesian bottle railing and create an outdoor communal space populated with beautiful plants, illuminated by string lights, and featuring a natural water feature. A space where families and where friends and family can meet, hang out, and choose a popular yard game like cornhole. Are you looking to integrate art into the city landscape? We are planning an art mural that could potentially turn into a popular tourist destination for the city. I'll show you pictures in a second. I'm aware at the last meeting it was mentioned that I put the cart before the horse, but in reality, I'm more of a, if you build it, it will come. I'm someone who do the things I put my mind to. There's so much that we can do without a little building, but unless we in the city compromise and work together to overcome the technical barriers, we will not be able to open the doors and bring these ideas to life. And so, that's what we do. And this is what we're going to do with the building. So it's something different like getting the comprehensive plan. And this is what the mural is. I believe you guys are familiar with angel wings. So picture yourself in doing that. And so be a little something patriotic to see yourself. Those are the few ideas I have on it.
Thank you for coming forward. And we do have, we actually met about that this week, and we'll be giving the board an update. But we have it scheduled right with you for next board meeting, and we'll have our chief building official and our fire personnel here, fire marshal here, to answer any questions with the board. So we'll address that in the next meeting. But thanks for coming forward today. Have a good night. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the citizens agenda? Okay, seeing or hearing none, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is a personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, we approve the personnel docket as presented on the stage.
We have a motion from Alderman Payne, second from Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Nick, I'm assuming there's not an update, a legal update? You have that. What the contract is about to design. Just wants to enter that in a minute. No board action required, correct, Nick? Okay. Okay. All right, then we'll move on. Next on the agenda. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is our utility bill adjustment document.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill link adjustment docket as presented on the stage.
We have a motion from Alderman Payne, second from Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Alderman Wheeler, you have anything to rebut? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. That motion carries. Next on.
I agree with all.
Yeah, I understand. Appreciate you calling attention to that. And then next on the agenda is our claims dockets. We have two. Is there a motion to approve docket one?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve claims docket number 1 in the amount of $4,305,490.01, including donations.
We have a motion from Alderman Payne, second from Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Is there a motion to approve docket 2?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 2, the amount of $15,966.32. Sorry.
On docket 2, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. 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 Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is litigation and claims against the Southaven Police Department, economic development within the city, and the leasing of city property. Is there a motion to declare executive session? Got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.